Hello, and welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming. Thank you for tuning in to another Spicy Toast video. Today we're going to be covering the 2022 year for Path of Champions. So going from when Path of Champions 2.0 was released, going through all of the major updates, what's been changed, what's been added, and how the year has turned out for this game mode that we all love so much. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. We're going to start off with May 24, Riot's post for Path of Champions 2.0. Now, Path of Champions originally started out as just a fun little game mode called Lab of Legends. They then moved that into Path of Champions, and they noticed that so many people were playing this that they were going to update it and make it a full part of the game. So this is the post of them talking about Lab of Legends 2.0, which was releasing the very next day, showcasing a lot of what they've added and what they changed. So they added multiple regions such as Noxus and Demacia, which then brought the region up to 5. So they had Noxus, Demacia, Piltover and Zaun, which is one region, and then Bilgewater and Ionia. So a lot of different zones for us to be able to do adventures in. They added the legend levels, which is essentially the account levels, and then the champion star levels and the star powers. A lot of fun. They did change the roster quite a lot. So they moved over to these 12 champions, most of which were not previously in the game mode, which was good and bad. It was fun to get a lot of new champions we hadn't played with before, but it was said that a lot of the champions we'd enjoyed were no longer playable. So this showed that they were really focusing on trying to make this a full game mode and kind of split LOR into the PvP side and then the PvE side with Path of Champions. There was some issues. You couldn't target upgrades for specific champions. There was no wild shards yet, so any duplicates you got would just go and stack up on the same champion. I know for most players playing at the time, you'd have over 100 shards on one champion, and there was no way for you to do anything with those. It was a little annoying. There was no weekly adventures, and it really was just the start of this game mode. It was a lot of fun, and it really looked like it was going to be a great rest of the year as a Path of Champions player. Unfortunately, tragedy strikes less than 2 weeks later. So on June 3rd, again, less than 2 weeks after Path of Champions has launched, they said we're refocusing on PvP. They're moving away from trying to support both game modes, and they are really pulling away a lot of the development for Path of Champions. Now, this was very disappointing as Path of Champions 2.0 just was released. Really kind of felt like a stab in the back for the people that were so excited for this new game mode and their previous announcement that they were going to be really focusing on Path of Champions. So this really did not see this one coming. It really seemed like they didn't give Path of Champions enough of a chance to even thrive before they decided to pull the resources from it. So this was definitely pretty disappointing, especially when it came so close to the release of Path of Champions 2.0. Later that month, June 28, we got a patch 3.10. Now this patch had some good and some controversial elements for Path of Champions. So we got the Wild Shard Fragments, or Wild Fragments. So now all those champion shards that we had been getting on champions we already had would be converted into the Wild Fragments. So now we could use those to specifically unlock or upgrade the champions we wanted. This was very nice. The one issue that the conversion rate was a lot worse than most of us were expecting. So it was a conversion rate of 5-1. So you could have 50 shards on a champion, and that would only get converted into 10. So that felt really bad for a lot of people, and still feels pretty bad to this day. I think most of us thought it was going to be 4-1, which still not the greatest, but don't want to unlock everything too fast from a developer's perspective. So we thought that would be more reasonable, at least I did. But I know that 5-1 conversion really hurt a lot of players. They did add getting wild fragments from the weekly and daily quest, so that felt really good because before that, we never had that ability. And then they added the option to spend coins, so real money currency, to unlock champions instead of using the champion fragments or wild fragments. So that's very nice for some people, but again, felt a little bad that the game mode still wasn't necessarily in the best spot, and now they're giving you ways to spend real life money on it. So another element that, while some people are really going to like, others in the community thought was a bit controversial. The next month, on July 19th, we got patch 3.11. So this was the first patch that was actually adding content to Path of Champions and not just fixing some bugs or some quality of life fixes that the game mode really needed. So we got 4 new champions, all of them really felt fun to play and in general well made. We got the new region of Shurima. Unfortunately, Shurima just had the one adventure in it, which was a little disappointing as most adventures that we had multiple, or most regions that we had multiple adventures. But still fun to get a new region, was really exciting. That came with new quests, new ways to get shards. We got 6 new relics, including Kaisa's Voidborn Carapace and Evelyn's Succubus Brand. So it was a pretty good patch. A lot of new content, not as many champions, but this was the first group of champions, so we didn't really know what to expect with how many we were going to get every expansion. A little over a month later, on August 30th, we got patch 3.14, and this was really exciting, especially for Path of Champions, and really was looking hopeful for the future of Path of Champions as a game mode. So we were able to get the Shadow Isles, another full region, a large amount of champions that were all a lot of fun to play, and then we got 4 new relics, some of them being very impactful, especially Gale Force, and they even added weekly adventures, so a rotating list of fun new adventures they were adding, which also gave us more chances to get shards and relics. This was looking very good, and the future of Path of Champions was looking very bright. We were getting consistent relics, champions, and regions. It was a good time to be a Path of Champions player, and really looking forward to the future of this game mode. Again, just over a little bit more than a month, on October 11th, we get patch 3.17. And this one, not quite as impactful. We still get a good list of champions, as well as a new region, the new region being Targon against Aurelian Soul. There you had the chance to get 5 different region rewards, so more than any other quest or region previously. All of the regions, I believe, only gave you 3 rewards. This one was giving you 5, and it was now essentially a boss rush arena. So really fun, great champions. We didn't get any relics and didn't get any other new features, but this did release fairly close to the previous expansion, so we knew that, okay, maybe they didn't have as much time to develop this, but still, what we got was looking good, and the next expansion was like 2 months away. That expansion is probably going to be massive, tons of champions, a whole bunch of new content, so even if this one expansion isn't quite as big, really looking forward to the future. I'm sure the next expansion, 2 months away, is going to give us tons of new content. Really looking forward to that. And in the meantime, this is a pretty good patch with an awesome new region. December 6th, nearly 2 full months since the previous expansion, and we are ready for a ton of content. Last expansion, a little light on content. We did get Targon, that was a lot of fun, but we didn't really get anything other than that. But this is it. This is the expansion. We're going to get a lot of content. They've been working on this for a long time. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of champions, hopefully another region, maybe a couple new relics since we haven't gotten any relics in a while. Let's see what we got. And we scroll down here and there's something odd. There's nothing for Path of Champions here. none of these links will actually take you to where they're talking about Path of Champions. It almost seems like they forgot it. So if we scroll down manually to the section for Path of Champions, we see that there's some new champions. There was no Rise or Kale, which got released this expansion, so that felt pretty bad. Ashe, again, here for some reason. And this is it. So there's no new region, no new relics. This expansion, 2 months, almost an entire 2 months since the previous one. Most other expansions were less than 2 months away, or more like about a month. So they had a long time to work on this, and Nasus, his 3-star, is bugged and doesn't even work correctly. Won't be fixed until the next patch, probably. Unfortunately, not looking the best for Path of Champions moving forward. Now, the next expansion is probably going to be the start of February. So again, another 2 months. Now, obviously, Riot, it's over Christmas break. They're probably going to give the people a lot of time off or vacation time, as they should. But with another long wait, we really need them to add some content to this game mode, because it's not really looking too good, as we've kind of been going downhill for a couple expansions in a row as far as new content. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Didn't actually mean for it to get as kind of depressing there by the end. I was trying to hope this video is going to be more positive and looking at all the great things that have been added to Path of Champions in the past 6 months or so of it being an active game mode. Really do love this game mode, but really going through and looking at just the timeline of everything that's been added, it is pretty sad to see that the past couple expansions, they really have been seemingly thinking of Path of Champions as an afterthought and really not giving us the development that we need. Hopefully that changes in 2023. I'll still be here putting out daily content for this game mode. I hope you all have a great new year.